What's up, everybody? We got 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again this week, and it was glorious. But before I get into these episodes, I gotta set the record straight on the timeline of Born Again. Last week I said it was set before Thunderbolts, but it's now been confirmed that it's set after the events of the movie. I don't understand how, so don't ask me. That's just what it is. With that being said, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that. It's a huge help, so thank you. Now let's dive in. We got back into Hell's Kitchen as a disaster from the end of the premiere was getting cleaned up. Cherry's taken to the hospital, the AVTF bodies to the morgue, and most importantly, Matt knows who saved him. He feels the message, and before he can even process it, Dex is acting on his new information, the identity of the devil, and funny enough, it leads him to a church, specifically the one where Sister Maggie is a nun, and I know a lot of the fans have been asking about her. Here's the answer. They told us that she's been off in Rome for the year, explaining where she's been in Born Again and setting up her return in season 3 or just in the future. She's of course Matt's mother. I guess I should have said that right off the bat, but long story short, her and her fellow nuns went and saw Jack Murdoch fight Matt's father. Jack and Maggie fell in love and had a kid that Jack raised by himself because of Maggie's oath, and Matt didn't meet her until the 3rd season of the Netflix show until he was an adult. You almost have to wonder if their plan was always to bring her back in the 3rd season to mirror the original show, but who knows? I might be giving them too much credit there. Either way, I gotta give some love to the blue lighting for Dex because it's such a simple thing. It's one of those things that, goes back to what I mentioned last week, just wanting panels flipped for me in these shows and movies. This does that, and it's so damn good. But what's even better is that all 3 members of the Daredevil Fist Bullseye trio are aware to a certain extent of what the others are doing. I can't wait for Kingpin's fight next week. If you've seen the set leaks, you know we're in for a treat. But sticking with these episodes for now, the mayor makes his first of a couple dirty moves by making Matt Murdock a hero without the mask. He's not just avoiding the task force anymore, he's got to avoid the citizens too, and he's really safer with his horns on. I know Daniel and Sheila, they wish they had suits of armor and devil horns as they just try and, survive Daniel being himself a dumbass. Daniel's just treading water until he screws up on a day where Fisk is really in a bad mood, and that'll be the end of his story. Hopefully, he goes down protecting BB. I think that's the ideal end for his story, but I'd also love to see him and Buck take a life raft together as the ship sinks towards the end of the season. I doubt that happens. Kind of doubt either of them survive the collapse of Mayor Kingpin, but I'd still love to see it. On the other side of that, I did not love seeing Cole North return here, or should I say the character that they call Cole North in the MCU. Officer Douche welcomes him back to the task force, and I know he's far from the main character, but this adaptation hurts. Cole is such a phenomenal character in Chip Zdarsky's run that they're drawing inspiration from here in Born Again, and I simply don't recognize him here in the show. Anyway, I was pleasantly surprised with this brief scene in the hospital. The side character cops were actually funny. Not that they were, bad in the first season, but they were just, non-factors. It's nice seeing them get at least a little bit of a character standing by Cherry's side before they're involved in the big showdown on the side of the Resistance. That was a solid scene, and it was just the candy of the Tootsie Pop in the hospital. The middle was Bullseye dropping in on the AVTF in the elevator. They hit us with the blue again, and Dex leaves a message that he knows Fisk will understand. The first half of this episode was jam-packed with amazing scenes, and it all builds to one of my favorite moments of the week, this subtle scene with Mr. and Mrs. Mayor talking about their empire. It's just these 2 actors being these characters solely off their years of chemistry. It's so natural for them, and it's so much fun watching them do it. Then we shifted our focus over to Angela Del Toro's The Vigilante Fire in Her is officially lit. The AVTF walks in on a standoff in the convenience store in her neighborhood, and another member of her family is taken by the system just for doing the right thing. I can't wait to see the mini tiger in action. We got a little bit in this episode, not much, after Angela goes to Kirsten and gets the amulet from her, and I'll get to that in just a bit, but she was an unsung hero of the first season, so I'm hoping they do her right now that she's stepping into the mantle. From there, we got an incredible tandem of Fisk and Sheila mixed with Daniel and BB. I want to be careful how I say this because, I don't like dipping into this pool all too much in my breakdowns, but it's hard not to with this show, so I know we tend to get lost in the extreme and obvious references they make, and just like getting caught up in the extremes in real life, that allows the opportunist to go under the radar, follow the leader, and claim innocence afterward to launch themselves. It's just as important as any commentary that we get in Born Again. With that being said, we got another Mayor Kingpin message, and thank God they showed us that it's BB under the mask. I'm all for fun, crazy theories. Charlie Kelly's the mascot of the channel for a reason, but some of the ones that I saw last week about this were just absurd. I saw people saying that it was Daniel, Karen Page, which, to be fair, I did think that was the second most likely option, but Jester was another crazy one I saw, and the wildest had to be Foggy Nelson. It was something else. The first of our two episodes came to a close with both of our main couples being restless. That feeds us into another fight at Josie's as the task force found the resistance base. Matt suits up, and I think Karen brought out some brass knuckles, taking down her prisoner. All I know is I heard some metal before we switched over to Daredevil, saving Josie and clearing the building. I thought the movement was much smoother than some of the similar fights we got in season 1, where they really utilize his movement. It's great now. That brings us to our second episode of the week, and to me, this opening scene felt like a bit of a love letter to Stan Lee's Daredevil. They don't ditch the tone of Born Again and get quite as silly as the GOAT did sometimes with his books, but the comedy between Matt and Karen definitely brought me back to those original stories. Anyways, it seems that Karen got lucky and found a potential ally inside the task force. I was convinced that Brett Mahoney was going to be locked up at Red Hook after seeing this AVTF agent Sphere, but I believe this was actually the young agent who saw a kid he was barely older than get executed outside that store back in the season 1 finale. Regardless, it seems that anyone who said that Heather was on her way to becoming the female version of Muse can pop that champagne early. This SSRI queen has the mask nailed to her apartment wall. Seeing this in the same episode where Angela takes up the mantle of White Tiger really made me think that they're going to fight each other down the line. It makes sense as both of them have their predecessor's mask now, and you also have the Angela's history with Bastion, the first Muse. It really just makes sense. But that's only a theory. I could of course see Matt taking her down too. They were lovers after all. However that plays out, Kirsten goes to visit Swordsman after running into Heather, and I thought they nailed the commentary in this scene while also laying out how they're nailing the Mayor Fisk adaptation. His time in office was never about making New York safe in the books or the show. It was about complete and total control over the chaos in the city, making sure that everything is carefully crafted to make his goals a reality. He really is a politician. After that, we got the first of two moments that Karen's going to regret when Daredevil and Bullseye team up. She said that she wants Frank's help, and it's interesting that it was followed by the governor meeting with Fisk, a scene that very much played with the idea of what the two sides of the aisle are really like behind closed doors so that they remain in power, and this team up of two mortal enemies is what it takes to bring that down. We had the corruption of Fisk and his anti-vigilante campaign shoved in our face during the Swordsman trial, from the judge walking in and telling us without telling us that it's a sham to the way the trial goes down. But I thought it was absolutely hilarious that they think I'm going to feel bad for Heather at this point in the story. No sir, I don't care if she had to hold back tears after the verdict. I can't wait to see her in an orange jumpsuit. Then Vanessa sat her next to Buck Cashman at the dinner. Not only does it feel like she's close to becoming a vigilante, the female Muse, it feels like they're inching Buck towards his identity as Bullet too. It would be pretty funny if after he's exposed and taken down, Kingpin's right-hand man and therapist become the very thing they were taken down. That's, of course, if they survive, because I already said that I don't think Buck and Daniel will survive, and Heather, she's right there with them. Anyways, Matt goes to Kirsten as Daredevil after the trial, and he does his best Batman voice as he retraces her steps through Red Hook. He goes in, here's the watch he left in the cargo on the ship to confirm the weapons are there, and got the prisoners out. Swordsman stepped in to help with the AVTF reinforcements, and this fight was insane. I don't even know if Matt needed help because he was just going crazy. I thought Dex pulled up at one point during this fight, the way they had the devil moving. Angela made her debut as a White Tiger during this sequence too. She gathered some AVTF gear and took one of their transports to get everybody out of there. We didn't see much of what she did, but she was sneaking around because she cut the tires on the vehicles that the agents came in on. 3 slashes with her Teal's knife for the Tiger. All that ended up serving the mayor, though, because holy fucking false flags, Batman. Fisk, he demolished Red Hook to send us into next week. I'm a big fan of getting these episodes together. They flowed so well, and I think I'd have to say they're two of my favorites from Born Again. The cast was dialed in, that cliffhanger was perfect, and the action has really gone to the next level here in season 2. It's starting to rival some of the best fights from the original show. You can really feel the creative team, the new one that salvaged season 1, finally having their voices go unmatched. And so that's going to do it for my breakdown of Daredevil Born Again episodes 202 and 203. As always, I want to know what you guys thought about them, so let me know down in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed today's video. Smash that like button on your way out and make sure you have a great day.